Yes, welcome everyone back out here to Warner Reserve here at Ashburton. Of course, talking about our ambassador profile, of course, Ultimate Frisbee in particular, and of course, we've got Simar here from the Melbourne Ellipsis, as well as obviously the Melbourne Flames in the AUL. She's joining us right now. Thanks, Simar, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Will.
Also, I'll get you to tell us how did it all come about? Why did you get involved in the sport of Ultimate, and when did you play the sport?
So I started playing Ultimate Frisbee at uni. So I went to La Trobe University and I started in 2015, so a couple of years ago now, almost 5 years. And I pretty much started as a way to make friends at uni and get involved in the sporting life at university. So I learnt from a couple of senior players that were there, and pretty much when I started, I just fell in love with how great of a community Ultimate Frisbee is and how supportive everyone is of each other. And that's pretty much why I hung around the sport. And yeah, now 5 years later, here I am and playing with an amazing team, and I have some amazing teammates as well.
Now, I asked you in the audio one just a moment ago about obviously your top 5 for 2019,
Yeah.
But tell us your top 5 since you played the sport.
Oh, that's an amazing question. So I've had a lot of fun tournaments playing some tournaments such as uni games. Those have been some great memories. Playing last year with Ellipsis and winning my first national season with them, that was quite an amazing experience. So that's 2. The third would probably have to be playing in Germany for the under-24 Blue Bottles mixed team. That was a surreal experience getting to play overseas. And there are a couple of other tournaments. I played one in Hawaii, which was a really great experience. I played with the Canadian team, hadn't really met anybody before, and now I've made all these new Canadian friends, which has been a really exciting opportunity. And also playing in the AUL was also a really surreal experience. There are some amazing players in Australia that have really developed themselves and are really skilled, and getting to play on a team with them has just been amazing.
Now, you mentioned about the Hawaiian trip, also, which obviously involving the Canadian team,
Yep.
which is a bit unusual.
Yep.
But do you still keep in contact with them, and how difficult is it when you have to verse against them?
Yeah, so it was hard playing against your friends. I mean, it's always hard playing against people that you're familiar with and that you know. It always makes it that a little bit harder to concentrate in games. But I managed to land a spot on this team with these people that I'd never met before, and it was just such a great experience. And yeah, meeting lots of new people. It's very easy to make friends in the Frisbee community. Everybody's so tight-knit, not just in Australia, not just in Melbourne, but internationally as well. It's a pretty small community so far, so everyone's quite close-knit, and it's very easy to play on teams in different countries where you don't really know too many people and can just share the love of the sport.
Now, mentioned about 2020, obviously Nationals are here, well, the first part of it is here,
Yeah.
but I guess beyond 2020 itself, what's your future long-term and short-term goals in the sport?
So for me, at the moment, my future long-term and short-term goals would probably be short-term, I really want to play the best that I can for the Ellipsis team. I really want to take out another Nationals title. I think that would be amazing. Playing in the Netherlands later in July, so that would be, that's one of my other goals that I would really like to play very well in, and just give it my all that entire tournament. And more looking long-term, I guess I just want to have a lot of longevity in the sport, and just making sure I'm looking after my body so I'm able to play long-term, and hopefully play another Worlds tournament in a couple of years' time, and just try to get as much experience under my belt as possible.
Now, you represent the mighty Ellipsis, as well as obviously the Australian team as well. I know it's going to sound a really silly question to ask, but I guess what's more special, representing our country or representing your club?
Oh, that's a great question. I think both are really great opportunities for different reasons. One of the reasons why I love representing Ellipsis is because we get to play in our on our home field, and we see these people twice a week, and we become a family pretty much. And so it's a really amazing opportunity to represent your club and represent its values and the spirit of the game on field when you verse other teams. But why I love representing Australia is because it's such a great opportunity to play on a team with other people that have been selected from different states, and you just build upon this campaign for 6 months, and you start to develop different connections and learn how each other play, and then whilst making friends from interstate. It's always beneficial having friends that live in every state of Australia, so I think they're both amazing for different reasons.
Now, I interviewed the Sydney Suns, who won the AUL last season, and obviously they mentioned they love to beat a Melbourne team, and especially Ellipsis, for the girls' team side of things.
Yeah.
Why do you think the Sydney Siders want to beat us the most?
So I think there's always been a tough matchup between the Melbourne teams and the Sydney teams. There's always been that little bit of rivalry between us two, and I think we've sort of been able to win a couple games against them, and then sometimes they might get us. So it's always been a bit of a tough matchup having Sydney teams play, but they have some amazingly skilled throwers, but I think we do as well. So it's quite friendly competition, but it's also a really good way to play some really competitive, high-level women's ultimate, and I guess show people in the community that women's ultimate can be really, really competitive and really tough.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question. Obviously, you've played alongside amazing players throughout your ultimate journey so far. I'm going to give you the toughest task, which is... I guess name the 5 top players that you've played with without singling anyone out. And if you don't mention Kat or Alex Prentice, I know they're going to kill you for that.
So my top 5 players that
you played with.
That I've played with. Okay, that's a very tough question. I actually am having this year is the first season that I'll get to play with Alex Prentice. So I didn't play with her in the Flames last year because she was taking a break over that season. So this is my first season with her. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. I think we're starting to learn how each other plays quite well. I really love playing with Georgia Egan-Griffiths. I think she just has some amazing throws. She can hit any space on the field, and she has a very bright and positive personality. I think she brings a lot of good culture to our team. I really enjoy, can't not say Cat Phil. She just brings this professionalism and expert level skill that I think you can just really see that she has so much experience and is really willing to share her knowledge with other people and develop the sport of women's ultimate with other people in the club, so that's amazing. I really enjoy playing with Timocles Copland. He's been a really amazing teammate. And I also will get to play with him in the Netherlands this year.
Okay.
I really enjoy playing with Michaela Dignam. She's a very fast, very agile receiver, very positive as well. She brings so much fun to every team, and you just can't not enjoy playing with her. And I love the aggression and the grit of defense from Hannah Mangan. She was an amazing player for the Flames last season, and I just take so much inspiration from her because she just grinds so much, and she just gets amazing blocks, and she's willing to put her body on the line to have some amazing plays.
Oh, you answered that question really well.
That was a very tough question.
Now, what does the sport of ultimate mean to you now, and especially, I guess, being involved with Ellipsis?
Yeah, so for me now, ultimate is just a way for me to socialise, and I get to see my teammates twice a week, and they're like family to me. So it's really, really, it's a very inclusive and a very motivating community to be a part of, and it's just something that I look forward to doing pretty much every day, and having these players that I'm so close with and that I really consider to be part of my family is it's a very special thing, I think, for sport. It helps me push myself, and it helps me feel really motivated all the time, and especially with such a long campaign for a national season, it can be easy to lose a bit of motivation. But I think having such an inclusive community in Ellipsis that is very striving towards excellence and is a very uplifting team is something that's super amazing to be a part of. So I just feel very empowered being there, and I couldn't imagine spending my time anywhere else, to be honest.
Now, what would be your advice to our viewers out there that should get involved in ultimate Frisbee?
Yeah, so what would I would say to everybody who wants to try out ultimate frisbee at home, it's a very niche sport, and it's still growing in Australia, but the more people that can be a part of the ultimate community can help grow the sport, and really lift it for the future of ultimate frisbee in Australia. So please don't feel intimidated by learning an entire new sport, because everybody who starts off is in that learning phase, and it just takes a lot of practice and a lot of patience. So don't feel disheartened or feel like you're too out of your depth to come and try, because there are so many people that are willing to teach, and there are people that people are willing to learn with as well. So don't feel like you need to shy away from playing. It's a very different sport, but it's a very fun community, and I think a lot of people be a part of this sport because the community is so amazing. So yeah, just be prepared to at least come and try a session and see how you go, and yeah, just be open to learning new skills.
Now we'll get to know a little bit about you outside of ultimate, the sport. Firstly, favourite food?
Oh, fantastic question. My favourite food would have to be pasta.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, just pasta with a red sauce and heaps of veggies would have to be my favourite.
Favourite drink? Non-alcoholic first.
Non-alcoholic. My favourite drink would have to be just a long black. I'm a big coffee drinker, so I do love coffee.
Then alcoholic.
Favorite alcoholic drink, again with the coffee theme, I love an espresso martini. Can't say no to a couple of those.
Favorite destination that you have been to?
My favorite destination would have to be Hawaii. It's a beautiful place to be. There's so many amazing things to do there. There's hiking, there's so much culture, there's amazing food, there's beautiful beaches, untouched land, and it's just an incredible place to go for a holiday and relax and also be active at the same time.
And then destination you haven't been to that you love to go to?
Oh, great question. I think I would really love to go I think I'd really love to explore Canada, North America. Yeah, I just think it has some really beautiful places, like amazing mountains and beautiful lakes, and so I think I would really love to go to Canada.
Well, I'm going back to North America sometime this year, so I might to take you there.
Yeah.
Have to ask, favourite TV show?
My favourite TV show would have to be Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I can't say no to that show. It's so funny. It's very lighthearted, and you can't just watch one episode. You have to watch at least 5 or 6.
Yes, I agree with that one.
Yeah.
Favourite reality TV show?
This may come as a surprise, but I do love Keeping Up with the Kardashians. That's my favourite reality show.
Yeah.
I have been watching the Kardashians since the first season, so I'm a devoted Kardashian follower, and yeah, it's just such a great TV show, to be honest. A lot of drama and a lot of gossiping, and it's great.
Favourite movie?
Favourite movie? Oh gosh. Oh man. I sort of go through phases with movies,
yes.
But my current favourite would have to be, I do like all the Avengers films. I think they're so good. Yeah, I really like the whole superhero universe. So yeah, I really like the Avengers.
Now, I guess other than ultimate frisbee, do you have a favourite hobby outside of?
Yeah, so I really enjoy hiking.
Yep.
So I like going to different places in Victoria and hiking and sort of like testing myself, pushing the limits. So I really enjoy doing that, and I love Melbourne because it's such an amazing brunch culture here. Mm-hmm. So I love exploring new cafes and trying different things to eat.
Might have to recommend me some cafes.
Yeah, for sure.
Talking about cafes and takeaways, favourite takeaway store in Melbourne?
Favourite takeaway store? A bit of an uncommon one, but it's Lord of the Fries.
Yes. Love that place.
They've opened up some new locations. Lord of the Fries is just so great.
Yes.
They just have great fries and great burgers. Can't say no to a burger.
Correct. Yeah, I'm actually going there a little bit later on today.
Awesome.
But I have to ask. Mention about obviously takeaway. Favorite ice cream flavour?
Oh, I have to go with mint chocolate. Can't say no to mint. Yeah.
Of course, we mentioned about your players that you play alongside with.
Yeah.
Any embarrassing moment that you've done yourself, but also your teammates have done?
I think one of the funniest things is just watching people slip over when they're trying to run and just tripping over their own feet. I think I've seen at least every single one of my teammates and myself do that at least once in my Frisbee career so far. And some funny ones is also dropping catches that are just, that you think are 100% they're going to catch it, and you know, put all your trust into them, and they just sort of like, just go straight through the hands. That's one of the funniest things. Yeah.
Didn't that happen in an Adelaide game that cost us the finals last year?
It did. Lockie Wise, if you're watching.
I didn't want to mention it, but yeah, it was on replay.
But yeah, I won't mention it too much. But yeah, definitely made the low lights real.
And got replay a couple of times too.
Yeah, I think it got made into a GIF as well.
It did. Yeah. It did. Now, of course, superstition. Favorites? Do you have a superstition or ritual for game days?
I think one of the biggest things is that I sort of just like to make sure that I really like just wearing black socks while I'm playing tournaments. I don't know why I've decided that, but I like just wearing plain black crew socks. If I'm wearing different coloured socks, it's okay, but I definitely just prefer black.
Now, favorite. I don't know if I already asked this question. Favorite colour?
I haven't asked that question. My favourite colour would have to be like turquoise. Yeah, it's just such a beautiful colour.
Favourite sport outside of Ultimate?
Favourite sport would have to be basketball.
Oh, yeah,
I love basketball so much, and I used to be a basketballer before I started playing Ultimate. So, yeah. Yeah, love watching WNBL and NBL as well as the NBA. Yeah.
Talking about that.
Yep.
I think I already know this answer. Favorite NBL team?
Has to be Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. Hi, Creek, if you're watching. Yeah, definitely a Southeast Melbourne Phoenix fan.
Well, obviously I'm Melbourne United, so it'll be interesting when we verse each other again. Favorite WNBL team?
That's a tough question. I think I more so just enjoy watching WNBL as a whole. I do just love watching the Opals play, and I think that they'll do super well this year. I think they have a really bright, they've been working really hard this year, so it'll be cool to see what the Opals can do going forward.
Of course, favorite NBA team?
I actually don't have a favourite team. Try not to be a bandwagon Golden State Warriors supporter, but yeah, I don't know, it sort of changes time to time. Sometimes it's Golden State, sometimes it's Celtics. It sort of depends on who's playing well or where my favourite players are.
Okay, well, who's your favourite NBA player?
That's a tough question. I do love Russell Westbrook. I just think he's amazing. Yeah.
So in other words, might be Houston.
Yeah.
Now, of course, so we'll finish up with two final ones, which is, I guess, how special is to be part of the Smash FM family as an ambassador?
Yeah, it's an amazing way, I think, to reach a bunch of people who don't know too much about the sport, and it's really great having Smash FM as an ambassador because, it's just a really great way to increase the Ultimate community and get our name out there with playing a niche sport can be sometimes sort of a small community, so having Smash FM as our platform to grow as the Ultimate Frisbee community is an amazing thing to be a part of. So I'm more than happy to advocate for Ultimate Frisbee and how good of a sport it is.
And of course, I always ask this last question, which involves ambassadors.
Yep.
I guess how special to, I guess when you got the news that, you're one of our ambassadors, how did you react?
Yeah, I was so happy to be made an ambassador. I've never been an ambassador before, so this has been a really cool experience, and yeah, I've really enjoyed being a part of it. I was super happy, and it's been great.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Definitely one of our awesome ambassadors that we have on Smash FM. Best of luck at Nationals coming up for Ellipsis.
Thank
and
you.
obviously, hopefully for the mighty Melbourne Flames in
Yep.
the AUL. And let's hope we can get that trophy back for the AUL and obviously make it 5 in a row for Ellipsis.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, Will.
I'm here to Warner Reserve here in Ashburton, of course, with the ambassadors side of things, because we've got, of course, one of our ambassadors over here, and of course, another player also plays in Ultimate Frisbee, of course, and they're both joining us right now. Thanks both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
No worries, obviously I'll get both to introduce yourselves, and obviously what position both you play on the field for your respective teams.
Yep. My name is Simar. I play for Melbourne Ellipsis in the women's team. I'm a defensive receiver, and I also play for the Melbourne Flames as a defensive receiver.
Hi guys, I'm Jordan. I was the manager of the Melbourne Flames, and I play for Ellipsis men's, and I am a utility on the O-line.
Now, obviously, I'll get both of you to explain. Doesn't matter which part of the game you want to explain first, but explain to us what we're sort of doing first.
Yep. So today we're going to be doing some throwing practice. So one of the basics of Ultimate Frisbee is being able to throw. It's probably the main part of the game, and we'll be teaching Will and everybody at home how to throw. Tell us like the handles of. So the first throw that we want to teach is probably one of the most utilised throws, and that's called a backhand. So in Ultimate Frisbee, you have two main throws. Similar to tennis, you have a backhand that looks like that and a forehand. Today we'll be teaching the backhand to start off with. So pretty much what you want to do when you have a backhand throw, firstly start off with the grip. The grip is to just have the disc right in the middle of your hand here and have 4 fingers underneath and 1 thumb on the top where the rim is. And once you've got that pretty much down pat, you want to feel like it's very stable in your hand, it's not going to fly away. And then once you feel familiar with that, the second thing that we're going to work on is getting the snap of the wrist. So it's pretty much just practicing this, and then that becomes one of the main parts of this throw. Did you want to say that next bit? So moving on from getting the wrist, you want to feel like that's nice and stable. The other thing you want to now incorporate is your arm, your elbow and your shoulder. So a basic backhand throw sort of looks like this. It's kind of like you're opening and closing a door. Once you feel familiar with getting that comfortable and that feels nice and feels like a normal thing to do, you want to throw your backhand by stepping across your body. So stepping across like this. If you're right-handed, you want to step across with your right leg and throw it like this. So it's a bit different to most ball sports where you throw sort of with the opposite arm and the opposite leg. Frisbee, you throw with, if you throw with your right arm, you step over with your right leg. Your left leg becomes your pivot leg. So it sort of looks like this, all in motion. So the reason we step across our body is to get a lot more mobility and a lot of stability while we're throwing. So if you sort of stand straight and try to throw, there's not a lot of room to move around a whole lot, whereas when you step across your body, you now have a much bigger angle to throw across.
Now, does it matter what side, if you're left-hander or right-hander?
Yes, so if you write with your right hand, you want to throw with your right. If you write with your left, throw with your left. It'll feel most comfortable that way. There are very few people in Ultimate Frisbee that can throw with both. And obviously that is an extremely awesome skill to have, but try to stick with your preferred hand. And you want to, again, if you're right hand dominant, throwing with your right hand and also stepping across your body with your right leg. So I'll just give more of an example of what it looks like.
Now, obviously, you mentioned about the forehand, the backhand. What other techniques can they learn as they go along in the sport of Ultimate?
So a few more techniques that you can learn is trying to vary the speed of the disc. So that means if you want to throw really fast, sort of ripping your arm through and getting a really big snap of the wrist, that will create a lot of spin. And if it's spinning nice and fast, you can get a lot more speed. So that'll help it go further. Another thing you can work on is shape. So that's another technique where you can really alter the flight path of the disc to the way you want it to fly. So if you sort of want if you want the Frisbee to sort of fly outwards and then come in, you want to angle it so that it's facing, the face of the disc is facing you, and throwing it like that. So I'll give an example. So pretty much what we're doing here is altering the flight path of the disc and making the disc go around rather than straight to our partner. So that's one of those techniques that you can work on and develop as you get more familiar with the Frisbee in your hand.
Now, I guess I know that was probably one of the difficult ones that we learned a couple months ago. I guess, is it all about practice to perfect it?
Pretty much. So a lot of the time with Frisbee players, we spend a lot of time outside throwing. I know Jordan throws 2 to 3 times a day, which is pretty standard for most ultimate players. I mean, that's a lot, but when you enjoy this sport that much, that all you want to do is throw with your time. So the biggest thing is being patient with being able to throw, because it is a new skill and it's very different to learning how to throw a ball. It's pretty much different to any other sport that people will play. So the biggest thing is just getting lots of repetitions in, and that's just going out to the park and having a throw with friends, pretty much.
Now, I guess I'll ask both of you this question. Now, obviously, for the men's and the women's team, which of the players that you played with that have perfected this, I guess, perfect techniques?
I'd say in my team, the men's team for Ellipsis, I'd say probably people like Timothy Copland and Tom Tullett and Rob Andrews, all those high-level players, all represent Australia at the highest level. They have amazing throws, and they're still working on making them better, which is amazing.
In the women's team, we have a lot of amazing throwers. We have people that have played for over 5 or 10 years. So some of the big strong throwers in our team would be Kat Phillips. It'd also probably be Georgia Egan-Griffiths, Caroline Marr, Kim Spragg and Alex Prentice. They're like some of the most amazing throwers in our team, and they just hit every single player pinpoint very accurately and very consistently as well. They've put in so much time and effort into perfecting their throwing, and as Jordan said, they're still working on themselves and still being able to perfect it even more. So that just goes to show that even when you get to the highest level, you still have room for improvement.
Now, obviously weather's pretty good at the moment, but if to say, typical Mel weather, if it rains and you're playing in the rain, I guess does it change the way that you go about it?
Yeah, in the wind you kind of change the gameplay to, instead of throwing longer throws, you throw shorter passes and try and move the game through more players and keep it short and sharp. Yeah, if it's raining, same thing, you've just got to be extra careful in catching with 2 hands, holding the disc a lot tighter, producing more spin with your snap, and yeah, there's lots of ways to adjust to different weather conditions we can have here in Melbourne.
One of the important things we do is we train in all weather conditions. So pretty much if it's not hailing or lightning, we will be out here training at the park, and that just gives us a lot of experience for when we hit tournament time and the weather's bad and it's not ideal, that we feel well adjusted and we know that we can change the way that we play a little bit so that we can play pretty much without error.
Now, let's just say, you have to do a long throw, and obviously just say, I'm a defender, I'm going to guard you, and you want to try and get around my defense. I guess just show us how you get around.
Yeah, so for me, I sort of like to think of defending in ultimate Frisbee pretty much the same as defending in basketball. It's quite, you can sort of vary the level of how close you want to be to someone. If you feel like someone's quite close, if you feel like you can sort of match the speed of somebody, you can stand nice and close like this, similar to basketball. I mean, sometimes people have the arm up, sometimes people just stand like this. Or if I feel that you're an extremely fast player, I can take a few steps off so that I'm a bit more reactive. And it's just being able to, we do a lot of practice throwing discs in the air and trying to grab them and stuff, and just being able to put your body in the way, similar to how defenders play in basketball, as well as netball. So.
I guess, obviously the players that you played against, I guess, is there a couple of players for both of you that, I guess, a real tough opponent to sort of guard, and how do they defend to make it really tough?
I think one of the biggest things in Frisbee is that people play in different positions. So that means that if you're defending somebody who's in a particular position, most people would defend people differently depending on what position that the opponent is in. So for example, if I'm marking someone like Georgia Egan-Griffiths, I know that she's an extremely tall, very agile player, so I might take a few steps off. Whereas if I'm defending somebody who's a bit more downfield and I feel that I can match their speed, or I feel that I can react to them quite well, then I would sort of stand a little bit closer to them. So there are a couple of different ways to defend people differently, but it's just more about being able to adjust the angle of where you stand and how far you stand, and just being able to see, you can watch what's happening when someone has a disc, and also you can see what your player is doing. Do you want to add anything?
Well, another thing that we do when we're defending, we try and take away one thing. So I know at training today, earlier, we were focusing on, we had different goals. So we'd say we won't let anyone get the Frisbee deep of us. So we'd stand behind them a little bit and stop them from going deep. Or if we want them to stop getting the disc under, coming under and grabbing the disc off one of the handlers, we stand under them and we'd stop them from running under. So picking one thing to take away from the player you're guarding and sticking to that and maintaining that buffer to make sure they don't get the disc.
Now, because obviously you're mainly a defender, I guess just give us an example how you would defend.
So if my priority at this point is to, as Jordan said, take away the underspace.
Yep.
The underspace is basically anywhere in front of the disc that is between someone downfield and someone holding the disc. So it's anywhere as you run towards the disc, it's that space there. So if we say, if Jordan has the disc,
Yep.
and if you want to come here, if you're trying to get the disc from Jordan, and I'm trying to not let you get it in this space, what I would do as a defender is I would stand here to stop Will coming this way, so that I can just put my body in the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm assuming that's different with height-wise as well.
It's not too different. I think one of the biggest things, if I'm defending someone who's a lot taller than me, I just try to be a little bit more, I guess, ready to react to jump in the air rather than more so relying on going laterally. So I just sort of like stay on my toes and make sure that I'm ready for a big jump if I'm defending someone very tall. What do you say, Jordan?
Say I'm marking someone who's a lot faster than me, I leave a bigger gap between me and them, just gives me some time to react and some space to move within to try and adjust to how they're moving and stop them from getting open.
Now, obviously, they've mastered the sport of ultimate, let's just say. What's the most difficult technique they can learn?
That's a great question. I think some of the most difficult parts of ultimate Frisbee is throwing.
Yep.
So I'd say different techniques as to how to adjust the speed of how quickly you want the disc to come out of your hand, what angle you want it to come in at, what sort of spot you are on at the field. So, you know, if you're in the middle, you have a lot more space, whereas when you're right on the sideline, you have a lot less space to work with. So I think one of the biggest things is just being able to adapt your throw and adjust it, adjust your technique, adjust your grip, adjust the speed. That's probably one of the biggest techniques in ultimate that I would say that's quite hard to say.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's also lots of like overhead throws, scoobas and hammers that are really difficult, takes a lot of time to work on and takes a lot of time to master. They can just open up the field in different ways that just a flick and a backhand can't normally do. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get both of you to demonstrate the techniques that you've already just told us, and tell us which ones they are for our viewers.
Yep. I'll throw a backhand, just a straight backhand.
This one's a scuba.
Now, before you show us the next one, now obviously the Frisbee's upside down.
Yep.
I guess how you grip that?
So you grip it in the same way you would throw a flick or a forehand. So as I explained earlier, there are two types of throws in Ultimate. Well, there's two main types of throws: the backhand and then the forehand.
Yeah.
The forehand grip is quite different, and it's a very new thing to most people when they start playing Ultimate. It's basically having two fingers underneath the disc, and then having two fingers supporting and one thumb on the rim. And that pretty much is the same grip for a forehand and also for an overhead throw. So it's quite, you're able to just, if you can't get this throw out and you're trying to do that, you can then sort of flip it and go for an overhead without having to change your grip.
So keep going. So.
Huh? So this throw is called a hammer. Basically, it's almost the same as a scuba, but it's more coming over your head like this. So it looks like that. It's the same grip as a forehand as well.
So similar to like a hammer throw.
Similar to a hammer throw. It's exactly the same. So now I'm going to be adjusting the angle of the disc to sort of have a different flight path than just straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt the face of the disc towards me, and that's going to help it go outside that way, and I'm going to throw a backhand throw. You can do the same thing with a forehand. It's basically the only thing you're doing is changing your grip, and you're still having the face of the disc towards you, and you're just throwing it so you're changing the angle a little bit. So it's still going to have the same flight path, just on the opposite side of your body. So it looks like that. Nice. Any more?
I think that's about all the throws we know.
Yeah, all good. Well, both of you, thank you so much for joining us and showing us the sport of Ultimate Frisbee. Hopefully the viewers will get out there and hopefully, depending on how good the sunshine is at the moment in Melbourne, hopefully you can get out there during the summer side of things, and obviously during the winter. And hopefully you get to watch both of you play, obviously at Nationals, coming up for Ellipsis. And thank you so much for showing us the ropes of Ultimate Frisbee.
Thanks for having us,
Thanks for having us, Will.
Thanks, everybody.